This is things you might not have heard, and I am Jay Cleveland Payne. In the queue for you today, 8 stories, 8 news stories from yesterday, vetted as conversation by you. They cover topics including information, politics, current events, and pop culture news. Now, we'll explain how they got vetted by you, how we picked these stories, but we got some good ones today. We're going to talk about Karen Bass. We actually did a big video on this yesterday, but we're going to go into the actual story because it did react like you did. Also, Wendy Williams is speaking out, and Bob Uecker, we're mourning the passing of a legend. And we'll explain, like I said, the vetting process after you go through all the headlines today, 8 of them. But remind you right now that our website is homed, lived online at this is the conversationproject.com. All the things about us are there to find out and learn about us. And as you see fit, as you see the need to, send your comments, complaints, and concerns to me via email at the conversation inbox. Lots more calls to action coming on Friday. And of course, shout outs to our partners. We'll explain that in a bit, but let's get into the news for today. And today's news, today happens to be Friday, January the 17th, 2025, if not said so yet. No particular order as these stories are being put out there. And this is not based on how they're vetted, but this is sort of the way the narrative sort of ran to get them into the queue for today. Let's start off with something that disappointed a lot of people late in the evening yesterday. That's Joe Biden, who's disappointing a lot of people just in general right now. But right now, the particular thing is our first story. Biden declines to enforce TikTok ban, leaving decision to Trump administration. And it's just like it says. Joe Biden, the president right now, is not going to enforce the pending ban on TikTok coming on Sunday, leaving the decision to deal with it with the incoming president-elect Donald Trump, who will be president on Monday. Ban said to go into effect on the 19th. ByteDance is required to sell itself or sell TikTok from itself to some other company, hopefully a U.S. company, or face a shutdown here in the nation. And then ByteDance said, "Oh, if you're going to just shut us down, we're just shut the whole thing down completely. This whole thing just done." Donald Trump says he wants to work with someone to extend the time and make a deal happen. So the problem is the bill, the law that they passed goes into effect today before he's in charge. He can't do anything. So what happens? The president currently decides, you know what? We're not going to enforce that ban on the 19th. Let it ride. Let the next guy deal with it. Now, on one hand, this seems like a good idea because more people want to get TikTok fixed, and fixed is getting it sold off and get some deals there. On another hand, Joe Biden is sort of disappointing a lot of people in the last days, just kind of doing things, and no one has the rhyme or reason what's going on. No one knows what's happening, and they're really wondering what would happen if he actually won another chance of presidency. And if you have three hands on the third hand, the CEO of TikTok is going to be sitting in the box with other members of tech companies sitting next to other dignitaries at Trump's inauguration on Monday. So if you have three hands, it's a whole lot of hands going back and forth. But the big two are the fact that Biden is doing whatever the hell he wants to, and no one knows what's happening. Donald Trump now has charge of this thing and can kind of do more things to prove that he's a better guy, I guess. We shall see what happens because it looks like TikTok is not quite saved, but the actual death will be delayed by a little while because Joe Biden won't plunge the dagger into the heart of TikTok. The die is being cast, the dagger maybe being put into the back of Karen Bass as she's facing lots of criticism over her wildfire response. The Los Angeles mayor is facing increasing criticism and frustration in her response and her whole administration response to the recent wildfires devastating her city in Southern California itself. So it's bigger than the city of Los Angeles, but they could have done better, or it perceived as they could have done better. With her absence, being out of the country when it started to happen, budgetary decisions that essentially affected the emergency services and delayed deployment of critical responses that were there as well. Of course, she was in Ghana at a inauguration of the president there, John Mahama, prior to a prior committee that was already set up when the fires were happening. But she says she was in complete constant communication with everyone here as things went well or not well. Unfortunately, they went towards the well. It got worse before they could get anywhere better. And so by the time she got back to town, there were at least 5 fires, up to 7 fires burning in the area. And big chunks of her territory, Los Angeles specifically, in the county itself, were an issue. The budget cuts, she cut $17.6 million from the budget in the fire department. And she and the other fire chief Kristen Crowley, have been beefing for a while on these cuts. Now, some may say this $18 million may not have made that much difference with what happened. There's $18 million that they can't really quantify because it's more equipment, more people, more stuff that could have been there. You don't know. We don't actually know what it meant, but We will see. Also, the big issue with the reservoir and fire hydrants, which is something that's totally out of anyone's control, unfortunately. But the fact that they needed some repair, they needed some work on them. They weren't ready when this thing happened. Although the impact of these things was massive, was unexpected, happened as well. And the deployment of other deployment teams, not in fact, because there's $1 million fund to basically put stuff in place, train volunteers, not activated at the time. And of course, the political and public reactions are as you expect. People are shouting her name out with other epithets that aren't so nice. Gavin Newsom is initiating some investigations into city emergency responses because he has to, not because he initially wants to, and also he wants to keep this not being his fault because he wants to run for president in 4 years because he can't run for governor again in two. Those things right there. We will see how this thing plays out, whether Karen Bass can survive the fires themselves and the fires that are political outliers for her campaigns and things going forward. Good news for the not for the WNBA, for the NCAA women's game, where they approved new structures to provide payments for women's March Madness teams. Now, that sounds great. The performance-based units will allow them in 2025, this year's tournament, participating teams can earn units representing revenue for their schools and conferences to receive. Teams reaching the Final Four could get about $1.26 million over 3 years, earning money, essentially like NIL money for the tournament. The allocation in the first year is about $15 million out there, increasing to about $25 million total in 2028. So the big team doesn't get 15 million this year; they get a good chunk of that 15, about 1.2, if you will, for the winning team. It's supported by new media rights agreement with ESPN, who are valuing the basketball at about $65 million per tournament, about 10 times more than the contract. So they get more money going into it, more money can come out to it, and they can pay the players because they should. Expected to grow further interest into women's basketball as there's a surge in popularity. People are watching it, so advertisers are getting their money's worth from it, and we'll see what happens. This also makes the game a bit more fair, more equitable, if you will, to the men's game, where there's always been, air quotes, money involved, even if that money has been, air quotes, under the table. Now, with money right there on the table, a lot of it, and a whole lot of it for some players, it's only fair for it to be spread around for the other athletes in NCAA and women specifically in basketball as their popularity is growing specifically. Now, does the NCAA exist in 10 years, in 5 years, the way things are going? Those exist in this manner or any way as an amateur athlete, especially since we're paying them on purpose? We shall see. You know what's really good to hear from Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams did a radio interview with the Breakfast Club, and she is fighting her guardianship and saying out loud, "I am not a cognitive impaired. I am a person. I am real. I can do stuff. This is like torture." The former talk show host is actively contesting her court-appointed guardianship, asserting that she is not cognitively impaired and she should gain control of her personal and financial affairs. She can take care of herself. She was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia and alphasia in 2023, and Williams has been residing in a New York care facility since 2022. She says she's fine, she's good, she can plan her own stuff, she can take care of herself, and wants to get out of the conservatorship that is a guardianship that is taking care of her right now. It's calling akin to a imprisonment when she spoke to the Breakfast Club, citing severe restrictions on her autonomy, and she revealed that she has limited access to finances. Basically, she's got $15 that she can spend to her name. Everything else is someone else being in charge of it and wants to have her money put back to her now. She wants to do whatever. She's taking 7 pills a day that she doesn't even know what they are. She's doing all these things. And she was even prevented from visiting her father on his 94th birthday due to constraints by the guardianship, and the guardian themselves. So she wants out. She wants out. She has some family members who are fighting for her, saying she's being abused and isolated, and there some family members who probably just want to control the money and keep her in. Despite the assertions, her guardian, her official guardian, whose name is Sabrina Morrissey, one of her nieces, maintains that Williams is cognitively impaired and permanently disabled and legally incapacitated. A stance that led to the legal actions themselves, including a central step to block the release of Lifetime movie documentary Where is Wendy Williams? So conservatorship issues, we talk about Britney Spears a lot, things like that. This has brought a lot of high profile issues to people who are very famous who have issues that their family are solely taking care of them. but maybe not taking care of them, but taking them themselves and the family. We're glad to hear from Wendy Williams. We're glad to hear her voice and have her say what she says is on her mind and what's happening. We'll see if this thing plays out more towards her favor or the family's favor, not her favor in the future. 4 stories down, 4 more to go. This is the part where we take a pause from the news and allow you to get a little insight on us, quick insight on us and what we're doing right here and what we're trying to do and what we're really trying to do in this year, this year specifically, year is grow. We have had so much growth in the year 2024. We were able to get monetized. We were able to see revenue coming in from various new places. And so we'll have more things to help support us and less of me asking for you to be a partner, but I will still ask every so often, especially at the end of this episode. But now that's for more things that cost you nothing except your time and attention and may even be better for you. If you're liking what you're seeing in the videos or the audios, like the video or like the audio that you're listening to on whatever platform you listen to. YouTube, X, and Facebook are the videos for this whole thing. Of course, we have the audio podcast on various podcatchers. There you go. Show them that you love us, and we will get some love. We'll get love from the algorithms who will feed it up to more people, and hopefully more people who see it will actually enjoy it and like it as well. If you know people who enjoy this type of news, my brand of humor and commentary, share it with them as well. Because if you enjoy it, you may know folks who enjoy it as well. More people in the queue, more people together to learn and see and grow with the stuff helps things out. The biggest contention is subscribing, whether you're seeing this on a Facebook feed, on an X feed, or in your YouTube channel, which make sure you subscribe to us. Make sure you can find us going back and forth. I'm not asking for notifications. I'm asking you to hit buttons or bells. Then you just say subscribe so that when you check your feeds for other things, every so often we may pop up or directly, not have to search us out and search time something comes out. We do this show 5 days a week and do another show on Saturday. So we're always here. We're always doing clips of things. So we're here all the time. Don't miss us when we're here. You have to be live with us like we are. I'm doing this live recording at 5:47 Central Time right now. But when we do show up in your feed, we shall be there for you. Let's move on back to the news, if you will call it news, sports news. Sports news with a big game coming up for the Ravens and Bills with a playoff matchup this weekend for um, for football, for the footballs, for all the balls in place. But the big deal with them, with the Ravens going to Buffalo, and it's cold, there's snow, and they always have the fans up there shoveling things like that. The cold temperatures, another cold snap coming through the nation, and we may get more snow in Arkansas in a week if it works out that well. We'll come up to what may be the coldest playoff game ever, really ever, scheduled for 6:30 p.m. on Sunday night in Orchard Park, New York. The forecast predicts 12 degrees Fahrenheit, which is minus 11 Celsius, and a 51% chance of snow and showers with light winds in the northwest at 5 miles per hour. Yeah, it will be cold. It will probably be snowing. It will be really, really, really ugly. But for folks watching the game, it's probably one of the funnest games happening. Watching those snow games are really, really nice to see because they're at home. Maybe when you're in the stands and you open water bottles and you freeze instantly, it might be kind of fun. But watching from home, it's always entertaining. The players seem to like it to a point, but at some point it gets ridiculous where they have to shovel out lines and like throw snowballs and all sorts of things like that. In preparation for this, the Ravens, who live in Baltimore, which is kind of cold, but not quite Buffalo, have opted to practice indoors due to it being cold outside. Harbaugh, the coach, explained the decision was made because injuries on the ice are a problem. So they're going to be indoors to stay warm and just practice up. And they'll be wearing those really big, super duper heavy coats outside that are cool to watch. And because they wear it over the pads and whatnot, it's going to be whatever. It's the coldest game of Lamar Jackson's career as a Buffalo running back, Buffalo quarterback / running back / all things. And he's not wearing gloves because they limit his ability to throw. But it also means his hands will be cold. Also, embracing the cold will be the Buffalo Bills as they are ready for it because it's like, hey, it's down to mindset. This is coming from Taylor Rupp of safety saying, how bad do you want it? You just got to want it bad enough. We're going to see who makes this go through because the winner gets a chance to take on the winner of the other side, which is most likely to be the Chiefs because they win everything. Because they do. And they're also well rested. So here we go. Let's move on to story number 6 for this morning. The 6th story for this morning is Blue Origin and the New Glenn rocket reached the orbit, failed booster landing in the first launch. So there's now viable, not quite perfect, but viable competition with SpaceX. SpaceX, by the way, We have a story that's lined up there to go off while probably more with speeds. SpaceX had a rocket blow up in the air and do lots of really pretty colors, which is also not very good, but they'll fix that one as well. But the New Glenn rocket by Blue Origin successfully reached an orbit to its maiden flight, and then when it was launched from Cape Canaveral, and then deployed an in-house test satellite. But the mission failed because of setback. The reusable first stage booster failed to land on the barge it was supposed to be, and it lost its connection to country after liftoff. So it went into space, it did what it needed to do, then it lost communication and didn't land back for reuse. So the reuse part is where they really get the money because if you use the booster, you save money. And despite this, CEO Dave Lump said that the pride in achieving this orbit for the first attempt, acknowledged that the ambitious goal of landing the booster rocket was big and hit it. So the next one's up next. Milestone marks a significant step towards Blue Origin in the competition with SpaceX. Right now, they're it. As I said in a post earlier, when we talked about SpaceX doing something. Richard Branson and the Origin and Virgin stuff, they just kind of want to just fly the airplane, and we'll see what happens with that one. No one's really talking space tourism right now. Now they're talking space commerce, space freight, the FedEx of space, if you will, because that's where the money will be. We shall see. That is where the money will be. The money may be in Justin Baldoni's pocket if he wins a lawsuit against Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, the two together, $400 million in defamation. Baldoni has filed this lawsuit against Lively and Reynolds and their publicist Liz Sloan, alleging defamation and extortion related to their collaboration on the film It Ends With Us. Baldoni claims that Lively and Reynolds attempted to seize control of the film's production and marketing, and that Lively falsely accused him of sexual harassment, damaging his personal and professional reputation. Yeah. He also alleges that Reynolds pressured him and his talent agency to sever ties with him, which it did because all three members are on the same talent agency. Legal action follows Lively's earlier lawsuit against Baldoni of sexual harassment and orchestrating a smear campaign against her. Baldoni has denied these allegations, describing them as baseless. Lively's legal team has responded to Baldoni's lawsuit by characterizing it as a retaliatory tactic commonly used by abusers to discredit their victims. Right now, both sides, and there's many people on both sides, are being really, really ugly with this. This is getting contentious. This is getting big, bad, and just all sorts of angry right now. So, with all that being said, we'll see what happens in court, in multiple courts, as it just turned out to be originally just a lot of people bad mouthing each other. One lawsuit, no lawsuit. I'm sure other people will sue because other people are suing. And eventually, we'll come to no real resolution, just a lot of anger and money spent and money paid over to people who probably could use less stress. Now, who's the bad guy, bad girl in these situations? I don't know. There's a whole lot of blame to go along in many ways. This isn't something the way they're basically cleaning up. This is not something that is, easily put aside by just saying, okay, I'm burying hatchets, just shaking hands. This is ugly. Whether you're a lover of Reynolds, Lively, or Baldoni, eventually you have to pick a side or just sort of back away and hope whatever move is made in the future. Finally, we are mourning the loss of a legendary broadcaster from Milwaukee Brewers, a legendary actor, and of course, seemed like a good guy. Bob Uecker has passed away. Mr. Baseball passed away at the age of 90 after a battle with small cell lung cancer. Passed away on the 16th yesterday. He was born back in 1934 in Milwaukee, and Uecker began his Major League Baseball career as a catcher in '62, playing for the Braves. The Milwaukee Braves, by the way, and the St. Louis Cardinals. He actually won a World Series back in '64, but after retiring, he became a voice of Milwaukee Brewers in '71. He held that for 54 years. The self-deprecating humor and storyteller endeared him to his fans nationwide, essentially playing himself as the everyman, no man, the big loser. Of course, you may remember from the light commercials where he was sitting up in the great seats, and then he moved to the front row because he was in the wrong seats, and they put him up all the way up into the nosebleeds. Of course, the star of Mr. Belvedere, where he matched wits with a English butler. Not sure how that show even existed these days, but it was funny as hell when I was 9. And going back to that one, he had over 100 appearances with Johnny Carson on the Tonight Show, and of course, one of his big roles, Harry Doyle in the Major League films. Go back and watch those. Those are classics that may not have aged well, but yeah, they're funny. He's survived by his children, Sue Ann and Bob Jr. His daughter Leanne passed away in 2020. of ALS, and his son Steve died in 2012 due to complications from San Quentin Valley fever. We are mourning the loss and the voice of Bob Uecker. It's teaser time. Time to give you a story that we could probably talk about come Monday, although that's really a lie. We're going to reduce the newsletter for Monday. So this is a story that may be in play, but I'm going to tell you right now we're taking off part of the weekend into Monday for King Holiday and a very special family occasion. So we won't be talking into microphones on Monday morning. I'm sorry. If you miss it, we'll be back on Tuesday. If you don't miss it, consider yourself lucky. But this is a story to explain how the process works for all day, all night, all the time. For TV stories. We post news articles on Facebook and X. Facebook and X. Also Threads. Threads doesn't really give us the stats that we use. So Facebook and X. See what stories you deem a conversation. It's social media. You just engage in it. Click whatever you want to for the emoji that references how you feel about it. On Facebook, there's a heart, there's a thumbs up, there is a face that goes, there's a face that goes, oh, there's, if you listen to the audio, that was all stupid. But click the emoji face of your liking on Facebook, or click the heart, like it on X, and let me know that you like it. Also, engage in it, comment with it, go back and forth. And the higher score of engagement, better chance we'll talk about it. Today, we had 8 stories that had fairly high engagement. The top half stories from yesterday's stories, of 30 stories to get out of the day, the top half those stories and picked 8 that seemed like the best narrative. And hopefully they are. If they're not, email me if I should do some other stories that we glossed over. But that's simple like that. Why you see that nice, pretty picture of Nate Burleson? He's not talking news. He's going to toss it to the reporter on a report they have going forward. But the headline that we're putting out there right now is that Walgreens is looking to fix some things going forward. We talked about them earlier this week about shutting down stores, but they're actually saying out loud words to the public that the fact that they have to lock up so many products makes it hard for them to sell because there's never somebody to go unlock the product. People see them and they walk away. Locking up products in all stores, and Walgreens is saying this out loud, as many places are doing it, is hurting sales as they're trying to fight shoplifting. You want to talk about this one? This is what a lot of people complain about, especially places like Walgreens, which are basically everything locked up. But Walgreens has a policy where they're supposed to just basically let shoplifters walk away, and so because of that, they have to go to drastic measures not to lose inventory. We can talk this up come Monday, or we can talk it up in email and chat stuff. We talk it up in the videos, talk it up Tuesday. We won't be doing a video, as I said, on Monday. So Tuesday we'll be back with things I have heard, but we can talk this thing up and talk about it in the newsletter forward. There are a whole lot of fights. So Monday, there are 10 stories to choose from. 10 stories will promote over 30 stories top of the weekend. There's 9 stories of the weekend. So it's a whole lot of stuff going on. So if you want to get this one in and see Sexy Nate talk money, although he's technically not talking money, we can do that as well. We did talk to Blue Origin launch today because that was one story we teased yesterday, and we went to that one about how it did well, not quite as well as Bezos would like. Our sponsor for today is Ground News. We're getting a jump on our weekend sponsor. We're going to plug this in so far. Ground News is one of our sponsors that we use a lot because it basically is the truth, or path to the truth. With Ground News, you get news that is not so much unbiased, but you get past the bigger picture by seeing where all the bias comes from. That's essentially what's happening. Ground News aggregates all stories from all places, local, national, and worldwide, and you can see what's being covered by seeing who's covering it. They will give you a range of who's actually talking about the news, what stories are out there, their headlines, their stories, their links. You can see if a news organization, if the owner of the news organization is more liberal, more conservative, or more or less right down the middle. And you can see it right there in scores on Ground News. You can also see what stories are being, I'll say, held back from you in the blind spot features, where it pulls stories that are being overwhelmingly covered by right-leaning media or left-leaning media so that the colors don't get a chance to see it. Maybe the right wants you to see something really, really powerful and not see something that might change your mind, something else. Maybe the left's doing the same thing. You can take a judge of that. And Ground News will give you 50% off your subscription, all subscriptions, 3 tiers of level subscriptions with your show right now using our link. So please use our link. You get a small credit, and you get the half off for using our link. This is theconversationproject.com/ground news. This is theconversationproject.com/ground news. Check it out today and get in more news. We use Ground News to check some of the stories that we see a little worry about. Because sometimes it's like, wow, folks covering this one, or I don't like the headline here, and see what other people are covering stories, and what stories are just not being missed, well, not being covered, what stories are missed. We use Ground News profusely here. We pay for the full top subscription. You should check it out as well. Use our link. This is a conversationproject.com/ground news. Affiliate link. You get a small commission for your joining. Let's talk about the conversation project very quickly because we are running late on time. So we're going to do this blast through this a lot faster than normal. We have great love, great respect for our partners. Our partners help us do stuff. They help us pay the bills, and so love going out to partners. And partners are people who will join us for contributions via Buy Me a Coffee. We also have on YouTube membership links, so you can join us YouTube member as well. Partners listed are Cup of Coffee listed members of Harold Braxton, Colby Green, and Elvin Kidd, plus Fair Change listed at Winters. We're glad those who are offering up their contributions every single month to help us get things done, and they mean a lot. Now, as I've said earlier in this broadcast and throughout the past couple of months, we are now getting more monetization for various offers, various places. So it's helping us out a bit, and there's less asking for money, but there is still asking for money. So go to our website, this is conversationproject.com, click on partnerships, and you can see how to go partner up with us. You can do a partnership that's going to be on a monthly basis, such as would Buy Me a Coffee, or with the memberships at YouTube. You do one-time donations on Venmo, on Cash App, on PayPal, things are there as well. You can also just send me something via Super Chats or Super Stickers. Those things are lovely as well on YouTube. Now, remember, you don't have to pay in to get a hold of me. We do contact you via the email address. We do have contact via just comments back and forth. So it's not just the people that pay get a chance to have interaction with me. All your emails, all of your responses, all your things get to me, and we do respond to as many as we can. We do read them all. We do get them all, even the mean ones. That's how we roll. We could use some help. Have the means to help us out. We appreciate it. If you don't, make sure you're following us on the feeds, facebook.com/this conversation project and x.com/th_conversation. And tell us what news stories we need to be checking out every single day. That's what we need from you guys there. Otherwise, you just be here when we're here. Now, we will have tomorrow's weekly wrap up, weekly roundup. We will have that taken care of at the end of the day. Have that done so you can see what stories, well, the stories in the past week that maybe caught my attention, had more impact, may need a little bit extra explanation because they've changed. We did have a lot of stories, other than the fire stories that basically changed, they change every single day. We have a lot of stories that were massively breaking news stories every week. But some stories will catch our attention as really big ones. We'll take a look at ones from my perspective, and ones that need a bit more explanation. Probably talk a little extra Karen Bass because I think that story is going to. I think there'll be even more comments on that one today as there were yesterday. So the weekend show is coming up. The post all weekend long. So of course on our feeds, we will post as many things as possible as we can as I'm bopping in and out of many things and some other things scheduled this weekend. So the posting is easy. I can pull up that story on my phone, post it, and kind of walk away for a little bit. So make sure you're engaging with us all weekend long and all Monday long. When we get a chance to return to do whatever we're going to do for this. The newsletter will get out probably a little late. No video, it'll happen. No things you might have heard video will happen on Monday when we get some short clips out later in the evening once we get ourselves settled back into the real world. In the meantime, love you guys so much. Mean it so much. We cannot do any of this stuff without you. Whether you are a member trying to help us fund things going, or just a lurker sending in sort of complaints via email, you matter. You matter to me a lot. Thank you so much. We're out of here for this Friday. We'll see you back here for the weekend show tomorrow on Saturday. And of course, we'll have another things you might have heard. Skipping Monday, also King Holiday. So don't forget about that. That's not the holiday. His birthday was like a day or so ago, but holiday is actually on Monday as well. Don't forget about that day. Day of service. Do some service. Find some neighbors, shake some hands, do all things like that. And be back with us for things you might have heard.